This is Mac OS Ken.
Ming-Chi Kuo adds color to his iPhone production talk. Carriers carry iPhone sales in the States. And a not-so-accidental-sounding accident from Google. It is Thursday, the 31st of August, 2023. I'm Carré, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSCan. TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo appears to be on a roll. On Monday, Young MC said that mass shipments of iPhone 15 Pro Max would begin this week. That ran contrary to reports that had Apple's top-of-the-line phone being delayed due to supply problems with a camera component. Not only are those humming along, Ming-Chi Kuo says they stand to be Apple's biggest phone in terms of build of all of Apple's new ones. In another post on Monday, he indicated that iPhone 15 Pro Max will account for 35 to 40% of iPhone 15 series shipments. That'll give Apple's most expensive phone the highest share of build, according to the analyst. About 48 hours later, he's at it again with a new post to Medium. No real change to what he had said, though he did add color. Literally. According to the analyst, the big problems for production had to do with image sensors, panels, batteries, and the Pro End's titanium frames. The TFI analyst says those have all been dealt with through adding suppliers, changing production yield, and refinement of design. The analyst seems to have given those expecting iPhone 15 Pro Max to be delayed a bit of a pass. The Pro Max project was the last to kick off, according to his post, so mass production schedule lags behind other models. As for the color he added, well, there was everything just laid out. Then there was actual talk of actual color. The Pro colors may be gray, white, black, and blue, according to the post, while the regular colors may be black, pink, yellow, blue, and green. I don't remember the last time I bought an iPhone through a carrier. I'm honestly not sure I ever have. The firm Consumer Intelligence Research Partner says that puts me in a decided minority here in the States, especially these days. 9 to 5 Mac writes up CIRP's latest report. According to that, the highest level of folks buying iPhones from Apple directly was hit in 2021, when 27% of customers in the U.S. bought either through Apple's site or from an Apple store. That number fell to 24% in 2022, and look out below, still falling. According to its latest survey, the report has CIRP indicating that U.S. iPhone sales through Apple have dropped to a new low of just 17%, 11% from physical Apple stores, and just 6% from Apple online. Carriers carry the day by a long shot. This year, CIRP says they account for 79% of iPhone sales in the States. That's 27% online and 52% in retail stores. The piece offers a few possible reasons. For starters, there are thousands of carrier stores in the U.S., compared to the less than 300 Apple retail locations. Perhaps a bigger reason, though, is the aggressive incentives carriers have been offering over the last several years that often result in free iPhones. If you're quick with the math, you may have noticed that the 17% sold by Apple and the 79% sold through carriers doesn't make 100%. CIRP indicates that 2% of iPhones in the States are sold through Best Buy, while the other 2 are sold through other channels. News of an oops from Google that really doesn't sound like an oops. A piece from Engadget says the search giant and leader of the Android army posted a picture of the Pixel 8 Pro on Tuesday. Coincidentally, ? That happened on the same day Apple announced its Wonderlust event, when it's expected to show off the iPhone 15 line. I say it's an oops that doesn't sound like an oops. Google, on the other hand, says nothing. Engadget says the Twitter account Android settings spotted a picture of somebody holding the phone on a page highlighting Google subscriptions and services. As for how we know it was a Pixel 8 Pro, the photo's alt text reportedly said, "A person takes a call on a Pixel 8 Pro phone in porcelain." The picture has since been removed, ostensibly making posting the pic look like a mistake. Then again, we are talking about it, and talking about it having happened the very day Apple basically said, "Here comes the iPhone 15. Oops, indeed. A smattering of software offerings from Apple, following Tuesday's cavalcade of developer OS betas for tablets, phones, and stuff like that. A piece from Mac Rumors says the Mac is making its way. According to the site, Apple on Wednesday seeded the 7th beta of macOS 14 Sonoma to developers. Less fun, though more important to some. A piece from Apple Insider says Apple on Wednesday also seeded the second set of release candidates for macOS Ventura 13.6 and macOS Monterey 12.7. Less fun, as I say. While Sonoma will be chock full of new features, stability improvements, security updates, and bug fixes are the only expectations for the Ventura and Monterey updates. One more for the beta parade. Back to Mac Rumors we go, where we find word of the 6th beta for Studio Display Firmware 17. The piece says Apple has not provided details on what's included in the firmware update, and no new features were found by running the betas. But, it's probably awesome or something. If you use Apple's customer support on Twitter and YouTube, you may not be doing that for much longer. Mac Rumors says it's heard word from secret peeps that the company will eliminate social media support advisor roles across Twitter, YouTube, and the Apple Support Community website starting later this year. The channels themselves aren't going away, just the helpful human helpers, according to the report. On Twitter, folks who send DMs on or after the 1st of October will no longer receive support. Instead, a source says they will get an automated reply outlining other ways that they can contact Apple to receive assistance. YouTube will not be one of those. While videos uploaded to the Apple Support channel will still play, sources say Apple will no longer provide technical assistance to customers in the comment section. And finally, while the Apple Support Community will be as supportive as ever, the paid community specialist role will be eliminated, according to the site's insiders. They may sound like small jobs, though the number of employees affected is said to be in the hundreds. They'll have the option to train for phone-based support, according to the report, though text-based options will be offered only when medically necessary. So far, Apple has not responded to Mac Rumors' request for comment. Between my travel in July and my COVID in August, there was a documentary announcement from Apple TV Plus that totally fell off my radar. In late July, the Cupertino streamer issued a press release announcing The Pigeon Tunnel, a documentary feature on the life and times of spy-turned-author John le Carré. Describing the film, the release said set against the turbulent backdrop of the Cold War leading into present day, the film spans 6 decades as Le Carré delivers his final and most candid interview, punctuated with rare archival footage and dramatized vignettes. Drawing on Le Carré's New York Times best-selling memoir, The Pigeon Tunnel, Stories from My Life, the film is an unprecedented voyage into the lesser-known parts of the iconic and historically private author's formative experiences. Music by Philip Glass and Paul Leonard Morgan, written and directed by Academy Award-winning documentarian Errol Morris. I bring it up now because now it's got a trailer. You can catch that on YouTube. The Pigeon Tunnel hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 20th of October. And finally today, it sounds like Ridley Scott's Napoleon will be outdone by Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon in terms of runtime. But Scott hopes that is not always the case. We heard the other day from The Hollywood Reporter that Scorsese's Osage Nation drama clocks in at 3.5 hours, while a piece from Apple Insider says Scott's Napoleon is set to run just over 2.5 hours. The director tells the magazine Empire that there is a fantastic version that is 270 minutes, or just under 4.5 hours. According to Apple Insider, fantastic is the only direct quote Empire has about this extended version, but the magazine reports that Scott would love to have Apple TV Plus eventually screen it. Reportedly, the greatly extended cut features more of Josephine's life before she met Napoleon. Dude, cut it into 2 movies. Or, less Battlefield. Actually, Apple TV Plus could make the 4.5-hour Snyder cut. I'm sorry, did I say Snyder? I meant Scott. Anyway, they could make that available as a streaming exclusive. We'll see. Napoleon charges the Cineplex on Wednesday, the 22nd of November. It'll hit Apple TV Plus sometime after its theatrical run. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.